Welcome to my channel Sci-Fi Love Story. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. The war room was quiet in the way. Only broken places were quiet. Not peaceful. Not calm. Just emptied. Captain Elias Ward sat alone at the central command console of the Allied flagship Radiant Promise. The curved wall of glass in front of him showed the battlefield outside, a field of drifting metal, frozen explosions, and the glowing remains of ships that would never fly again. The battle had ended 8 hours ago. No alarm screamed now, no weapons fired, no orders echoed through the chamber. Most of the officers were gone. Not dead, just done. Some lay asleep in their seats, medical foam wrapped around their necks. Others had been carried to recovery bays after collapsing where they stood. A few still sat awake, but stared at walls like people who had left their bodies behind. Only one officer still worked. Elias Ward blinked slowly and forced his eyes back to the report hovering above the console. Battle summary, Siege of Kareth Gate, casualties. His fingers moved across the holographic keys. They trembled slightly, but the words came fast, too fast. His thoughts felt sharp, narrow, focused like a blade. He had not slept in 73 hours. He knew the number because he had stopped pretending it didn't matter after hour 50. Behind him, soft footsteps approached. "Captain Ward," a gentle voice said. Elias didn't turn. "Still alive," he replied, "unless this is the afterlife and nobody told me." The alien officer behind him made a quiet clicking sound, the Telleran version of worry. Commander Sierra had smooth blue skin and large silver eyes that reflected the console light. "You should be in medical," she said. "So should half the fleet," Elias answered, still typing. "I'm just finishing the report." "You have been finishing that report for 2 hours." "Yeah," he muttered. "Takes time to explain how we didn't all die." Sierra stepped closer. A small scanner unfolded from her wrist and projected a faint beam toward his head. Lines of data appeared in the air. Her eyes widened. "Your neural activity is still elevated," she said quietly, "higher than during the battle." "Adrenaline," Elias said. "Adrenaline should have collapsed hours ago." "Tell it that." She hesitated. "Captain, Telleran minds begin to degrade after 20 hours without rest. At 30 hours, we experience memory failure. At 40, hallucinations." "Yeah," Elias said, "humans get those too." She looked at the data again. "You show no cognitive breakdown, no confusion, no speech delay. In fact," she paused, "your decision response speed is faster than it was yesterday." Elias finally leaned back in his chair. His joints popped. "Lucky me," he said. But his smile didn't reach his eyes. Outside the viewport, a shattered enemy cruiser drifted slowly past, its hull torn open like a wound that would never close. Elias stared at it for a moment too long. Then a sharp tone sounded at his console. Not a general alert. Not fleet command. A sealed royal signal. The symbol of the Allied throne glowed in the air. Commander Sierra stepped back at once. Elias stared at the message. "Well," he said softly, "that's new." The text expanded. "Captain Elias Ward, you are requested for immediate audience with Her Majesty, Queen Erin Valles. Private summons." Sierra's voice dropped to a whisper. "The Queen does not summon officers after battle." "Good to know," Elias said, standing slowly. "Guess I set a record." "You should rest first." "Yeah," he said, "I'll put that on the list." The royal chamber was brighter than the war room. Soft light flowed from the walls, shifting like slow water. The air smelled faintly of something sweet and unfamiliar. Queen Erin stood beside a circular holographic table at the center of the room. At first glance, she looked almost human, dark hair pulled back, calm face, tall posture. But her long, elegant ears curved back from her temples, moving slightly as she turned toward him. They stopped moving when they saw his face. "Captain Ward," she said. Elia stopped 3 steps away and gave a tired salute. "Your Majesty." "You may relax," she said. "If you faint, my medical staff will blame me." "I'll try to stay dramatic-free," he replied. One of her ears twitched, amusement maybe. A holographic display rose between them, his battle report. "You maintained tactical command for 3 full planetary rotations," she said. "Yes, ma'am." "With no recorded sleep cycle." He shrugged, didn't feel like a good time. Her eyes studied him closely. Surveillance confirms continuous activity, no microsleep events, no confusion, no command degradation. "Got lucky," he said again. "That is not luck," she replied gently. Silence settled between them, not hostile, curious. Finally she asked, "How are you still functioning, Captain Ward?" He opened his mouth with a joke ready. It didn't come out. Instead, he looked at the floating report, at the casualty numbers. Then he sighed. "Because someone once decided I shouldn't be allowed to stop," he said quietly. Her ears went still. "Explain." Elias folded his hands behind his back. "About 12 years ago," he began, "the human military ran a program, not official, not legal. Goal was simple, make soldiers who could stay awake longer in long engagements." Her expression darkened, neural alteration. "Yeah. What kind?" "Implants, gene triggers, stress response modifiers." He gave a thin smile. "Nothing flashy, no glowing eyes, just less need for sleep when things get bad." "How long can it suppress rest?" He looked at the floor. That part was still being tested. She understood the answer. "And the program?" "Exposed," he said. "Shut down trials, speeches, files erased." "And you?" "Harder to erase." The room was very quiet. The Queen gestured, and a medical schematic of a human brain appeared. Her voice softened. "Our science says cognitive collapse should occur well before this point." "Yeah," Elias said, "mine too." "What happens if you continue?" He met her eyes. "Eventually, system failure. Brain stops listening to shutdown signals. Could be stroke, could be permanent psychosis, could just drop dead at a console." She did not look away. "Then why," she asked, "did you continue?" He didn't hesitate. "Because if I'd gone to sleep," he said, "someone else would have died in my place." The answer hit harder than any shout. She studied him for a long moment. "You were turned into a weapon," she said. "Yeah. And you still choose to use yourself." He gave a tired half-smile. "That's kind of our thing." Her ears lowered sorrow. "I will not allow this to be copied," she said firmly. "Your suffering will not become doctrine." "Good," he said. "Wasn't volunteering recruits." "But we must learn from it," she continued. "We lose more soldiers to exhaustion than enemy fire. If we can detect the moment endurance becomes self-destruction, we can save lives." "So I'm a warning label," he said. "You are a teacher," she corrected. He didn't know what to say to that. "Captain Ward," she said gently, "when did you last sleep?" He had to think. "Maybe 5 days ago, 4 hours before the siege." Her ears flattened. "That is unacceptable." "Still standing," he said weakly. "For now." She tapped a control. "Medical rest has been scheduled." He blinked. "Scheduled." "You will attempt to sleep." "I don't think it works like that." "I am the Queen," she said calmly. "It works like that." Despite everything, he laughed. And for the first time since the battle ended, the tight pressure behind his eyes loosened just a little. "Yeah," he said softly, "okay." As guards guided him toward the medical wing, he felt something stranger than exhaustion. Not fear of collapse. Fear of stopping. Because if he stopped, he didn't know who he was without the fight. Sleep did not feel like rest to Captain Elias Ward. It felt like surrender. The medical chamber was quiet, dim, and warm. Soft light moved across the curved walls like slow breathing. A low hum vibrated through the floor, the sound of the station's life systems working, steady and calm. Elias lay on a narrow recovery couch, staring at the ceiling where artificial stars drifted in lazy patterns. He hated how peaceful it looked. His body was heavy, tired in a deep way that went beyond muscles, but his mind refused to slow down. Every small sound felt like a warning. Every shadow looked like a problem he should be solving. His heart kept trying to race. "You are safe," said a soft voice nearby. Elias turned his head. A Telleran medical officer stood beside a floating console, her name badge translated to Healer Rin. "That's what people say right before something explodes," Elias muttered. Rin made a small clicking sound, gentle amusement. "There are no weapons active within 12 decks." "Good to know," he said. "Only my brain then." She studied the data above him. "Your stress hormones are falling, slowly. Feels like they're planning a comeback." "That is expected," she said. "Your neural pathways have been trained to remain in crisis." "Yeah," he said quietly. "They had good teachers." A soft chime sounded at the doorway. Queen Erin stepped inside. She had dismissed her guards. No royal display, just her and the quiet room. "How is our most stubborn patient?" she asked. "Considering escape," Elias said. "Window looks breakable." "It is not," Rin said calmly. Erin moved closer to the bed, her ears angled forward, attentive. "You do not have to fight this," she said. "I'm not fighting," he replied. "You are clenching your fists." He looked down. She was right. He forced his hands open. "This is the hard part," he said. "Battle makes sense, rest doesn't." She nodded slowly. "Your mind believes alertness equals survival. Doesn't it?" "Not always," she said gently. Rin adjusted a control. A faint field of light passed over Elia's head. "We are not sedating you," she explained. "Only encouraging natural rest cycles." "Encouraging," he repeated. "My brain has never listened to encouragement." Erin gave a small smile. "Then perhaps it is time it learned." Silence settled. Minutes passed. Elias' breathing slowed without him noticing. The tightness behind his eyes faded, not gone but distant, like thunder moving away across a horizon. His thoughts tried to rise again, reports, threats, unfinished tasks. He let them pass. For the first time in years, Elias Ward fell asleep without collapsing. He woke to quiet. Real quiet. No alarms in memory, no battle sounds echoing behind his eyes. He blinked at the artificial stars above him and frowned. "That's suspicious," he muttered. "You slept for 6 hours," Erin said from across the room. He sat up too fast, then froze when the world did not spin. "6," he said, "that's illegal." "On your world, perhaps," she replied. He flexed his hands. No shaking, no mental fog, his thoughts felt clear. That scared him more than exhaustion ever had. "What did you do?" he asked. "We removed nothing," Rin said. "We only gave your mind permission to rest." Elias looked at Erin. "That's new." "Yes," she said, "and necessary." Recovery did not end the battle. It changed it. Elias spent the next days in controlled cycles, rest, light activity, monitored simulations. His brain fought every step. Each time he closed his eyes, part of him waited for disaster. Each time he woke, part of him was shocked the universe had not burned while he slept. "You see," he told Erin during one session, "staying awake was safer." "For you," she said, "not for your mind." Meanwhile, the Queen's scientists worked. Using Elias' data with his full consent, They developed something new. Endurance safeguard protocols. Systems that watched commanders' stress levels. Programs that forced pauses before collapse. Command locks that required rest before authority returned. When the first units received them, they revolted. Humans tried to override the rest locks in 7 minutes, an officer reported. Elias snorted. Told you, we'll fight naps harder than enemies. What happened? Aaron asked. The system extended their rest time. Elias grinned. Good system. Slowly, resistance faded. Soldiers who rested made fewer mistakes. Pilots with sleep had faster reactions. Commanders who paused made better calls. The numbers were undeniable. For the first time, armies were surviving their own exhaustion. But Elias' personal battle was not over. One afternoon, Rin called Aaron urgently. The suppression pathways are adapting, she said, displaying a brain scan. Elias stared at it. That doesn't look friendly. Your brain is trying to reactivate the sleepless state with less stress, Rin explained. It believes this is your natural condition. So I'm healing wrong, he said. Aaron stepped closer. We can slow it, maybe reverse some damage, but we cannot promise full recovery. He nodded once. Figures. You may stop this collaboration, she said quietly. Focus only on saving yourself. He shook his head. If I quit now, the system stays half-built. Someone else gets pushed too far later. He looked at the screen. I can live with scars. I can't live with knowing I didn't stop it. Aaron's ears tilted forward, respect. You are not required to sacrifice more, she said. I'm not, he agreed. I'm choosing to. That was the difference. Weeks passed. Elias improved. Not cured, not normal, but stable. He learned to feel tired without panicking, learned that rest did not mean failure, learned that being human was not the same as being a weapon. The Alliance officially adopted the endurance protocols across all fleets. Fatigue deaths dropped. Mental collapses fell. Command errors shrank. All because one human had been pushed too far and survived long enough to warn others. Human Command eventually sent a formal request. They wanted Elias returned. Liability concerns, the message said. Elias rolled his eyes. Aaron sent a reply. Captain Ward remains under my protection. He is a guest, not property. The message ended there. Elias blinked at her. You just told Earth's military no. I am a queen, she said. It is a common activity. He laughed harder than he had in years. One evening, they stood together at a viewport overlooking the stars. Repair drones moved across the station hull like glowing insects. The battle damage was almost gone. It worked, Elias said quietly. It is working, Aaron corrected. He nodded, still, not bad for a guy who forgot how to sleep. She studied him. You are no longer defined by endurance alone. Good, he said. That was getting old. You will not return to frontline command, she added gently. He started to protest. Then stopped. The old reflex rose, prove worth, stay useful, never step back. But it felt smaller now. So what am I? He asked. A teacher, she said. An advisor, a reminder of limits. He exhaled slowly. Never thought resting would be my biggest contribution to a war. History is often shaped by those who survive long enough to say enough, she said. He looked at the stars. Guess humans are good at that. Months later, Elias stood in a training hall filled with officers from a dozen species. He was not in armor, not at a command console. He was teaching. Fatigue doesn't make you weak, he told them. Ignoring it does. Your brain is a machine, sure, but it's also you, and if you burn it out, there's no spare. An alien pilot raised a hand. Captain Ward, do you still struggle with rest? He smiled. Every night, he said, but now I know stopping isn't quitting, it's surviving. They listened. Because he wasn't speaking theory. He was speaking scars. That night, alone in his quarters, Elias lay back on his bed. The artificial stars drifted above him again. His mind stirred as always, old habits, old alarms. He didn't fight them. He acknowledged them. Then he let them pass. Sleep came quietly, no orders, no systems forcing it, no fear. Just rest. And across the Alliance, thousands of soldiers closed their eyes safely, because one human had once been denied the chance. Final line. Captain Elias Ward had once measured his worth in hours he could stay awake. Now he measured it in the lives that would never have to.